Hi guys, so today is the continuation video for last week's video. So this is week 3 and 4 of OCS. So I wanted to start off by saying that these 2 weeks are going to be really busy for you if you're going to OCS. So make sure you manage your time very good. So starting off on that Monday, we did lesson 6. And so we talked about some stuff on lesson 6 about history. Tuesday, we did his lesson 7. Wednesday, we did lesson 8, and that was our last lecture. So after that is we did the history test on Thursday. So what I recommend doing for this history test is studying every lesson every night. So what I did with my study group is we met up at the computer lab every night, and we just kind of talked about what the lesson that we learned, and we shared notes, shared some stuff that we caught on during the lecture, because Dr. Campbell is gonna kind of give you the answers honestly while he's doing the lecture. So pay attention to his foot stomps. So that's like his sign of saying like, hey, this is going to be important, or this is going to be in the test. So pay attention to that. Study with a group. Honestly, I think that's the best way to study history, because I was very lucky to have my friends here, and we studied history together almost every night. We probably spent an hour, 2 hours every day, and we just went through the whole history. We talked about what they learned, what we learned, so we shared opinions and our notes and stuff like that. And then on history test, so there's going to be multiple sections on history test. So the day you get there on Thursday, you guys are going to have about, I would say, an hour of reviewing with Dr. Campbell. So you can ask any other questions you have that you want clarifications on. And then you're going to have like a 15-minute potty break before the exam. And then the exam, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's about an hour and a half. So you can take an hour and a half. You can take the whole time, like if you need it. So don't rush the test, like really pay attention to what the question is. But I do recommend going through it the first time and answering it based on your intuition, right? Based on like the first answer that you think is right, answer that, and then go through the whole test. And then after you finish it, go through it again, but this time really pay attention to some wordings. Pay attention to the questions that they're asking for, because sometimes it's a little bit confusing. And then also, the test is going to be multiple choice question, identification question, timeline sorting. So make sure you pay attention to which war came first, which battle came first before this and that. And then the fourth section is going to be true or false. So for the true or false is going to be like a paragraph, like a short paragraph with 4 sentences in it. And each sentence that's on there, you're going to have to put true or false. So, another tip I think would be helpful is looking for the italicized words in the true or false. So Dr. Campbell usually put in like italicized words to emphasize that specific wordings, right? So usually it's a false if it's italicized. Because then, for example, he'll be asking like about France and Sicily, about Patton, right? And then he'll be like, did he use restraint on both? But it's italicized. And the answer is no, right? Um, so pay attention to class. Honestly, if you pay attention to class, take notes, and review them, I think history is going to be a breeze. It's not going to be too bad. And make sure you review every night, like I mentioned. And then after the history test, um, we started doing Land Nav. So on that Thursday afternoon, we did an introduction to map reading. And what that is we're pretty much just practicing for Land Nav that's coming up on week 4, right? So On Thursday and Friday, we pretty much just did land navigation training, exercises on hands, practices and stuff like that. And then after that, on Friday afternoon, we did the heritage of OCS at the Weigel Hall. So we had like a briefing about OCS history, and it was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed that much. And then on Saturday is when we went to the Infantry Museum, which was right off post. Honestly, I wish we had more time because it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to go back there after OCS. I think whenever I get time, I'm gonna visit it again because it had so many cool stuff. And a lot of the stuff that you learned in history is gonna be on that museum. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, that's what it looked like. And then on Saturday afternoon, we did the first peer evaluation. What that is it doesn't really affect your OML unless you get the bottom 10%, I believe. So what that is that you're just rating your squad. So for peer evaluation, a lot of people were asking about this. It's not for the whole platoon, or it's not everybody in the whole company. You're just rating maybe 10 or 11 people in your squad. So for example, I'm on first squad, third platoon. I'm sorry, I'm on first platoon, third squad, right? I always get them confused. And I'm only rating maybe 10, 11 people in my squad, in my specific squad. And then I believe at the end of the this class is that's when we're gonna do our platoon peer eval. But so far for all the peer evaluation, it's mostly just your squad. And then, I recommend not putting a bunch of crazy negative stuff on there. I think it's great to put constructive criticism, but I wouldn't go too hard. Like, I wouldn't be so mean because, they're still your battle buddies. Like, you're still going to spend a lot of time with them. And just be constructive, be positive, because I think you can put in up to 3 negatives and then 3 positives. So what I pretty much did is I put like 2 or 3 positives and then I put 1 or 2 negatives. And when I mean negative, I'm just talking about like, hey, maybe we can take more initiative, or maybe we can try harder for PT and stuff like that. And it wasn't really like I wouldn't say anything that I wouldn't say in person to that person, if that makes sense. So like I'm not gonna write anything too crazy that I wouldn't say to you in person. So that's another thing to think about, because sometimes if it's really negative, your cadre is probably gonna sit y'all down and go through the whole peer eval with y'all, and everybody's gonna be looking at you like, what? But it's anonymous, by the way. It's just like, if you have the integrity to say you said that, that's cool. But if you're saying some negative stuff on there that you wouldn't say to that person in person, I wouldn't say that if I'm being honest. Anyways, Sunday comes, we didn't do much, church services as usual. And then that's it. We went to the PX. You can go to the PX, by the way, on every weekend. The cadre will take you. You just have to march there with everybody, and then you can come back with 5 people. And then you just come back to the footprint and you just do your thing. And then Monday comes. This is when, on that Sunday, by the way, is when I packed my rug for Land Nav, because we're going to be in Land Nav for 5 days. We're going to be in the field for 5 days. So make sure you pack the necessary stuff that you need out there, okay? So what I recommend, packing your poncho, that's good. Packing a tarp, like an extra tarp, is good. Your sleeping system, for sure, your mat, and then change of clothes. I think I brought like probably 5, 10 shirts because I change like every day. Underwear, sports bra, socks. Bring a lot of socks, right? Because it's gonna be raining out there. Like it rained when we were out there, so it's best to just bring extra socks. So Monday comes, we wake up around same time. Like we usually wake up at 4:30. and then we go form up by like 5. So we did that, and then we just did some preparation in the morning, packed our stuff, and then by around 10 a.m. we headed to Land Nav. So we had transportation there. So we didn't walk there, thank God. We had buses to take us to Red Diamond. And then after we get there, I think we walked about like a mile with our ruck. Probably less than a mile, it's not much. And then we get to the field and we just started staging our stuff and unpacking the wonton in the truck. And then that's when um we began the cadre day land navigation. So the cadre will kind of lead you through Red Diamond to show you like some of the paths, some of the trails, and just kind of familiarize yourself with the field, the woods, because that's where you're going to be doing your land nav for like the next 3 to 4 days. And that ends, and then to our schedule was kind of off only because it rained and it had like 1 second. So sorry about that. I just had somebody come to my room. And then after that, we did the buddy team, what is it? Day land navigation and night navigation, because we didn't have much time to do each one of them separately. So we just kind of like did them at the same time. So they gave us like 14 points and we just went to the woods and find them in 4 hours. And so actually that's another thing. So the cadre led land navigation and the buddy team land navigation is going to be very helpful to you. So make sure you pay attention to all the trails, everything that's like going on around you, and familiarize yourself really with like the trails and which trail is going to be faster, which road is going to be like better whenever you do your own land navigation. And then on Wednesday, that's when we did the pre-test. So you're gonna have a pre-test, test, and then your retest, right? So for the pre-test, if you pass the pre-test, you already passed the land navigation. If you take the test, you're only doing it to improve your score, right? So for the pre-test, how it went for us is we wake up at around 2 a.m. and then we get our tabs, get our maps, everything you need for land navigation, form up by the bleachers, and then around 3 a.m. is when you're gonna start filing through to get your GPS tracker. And then after that, they're gonna give you your points, and then you plot them, you find them in the woods, and they give you about 4 hours to do so. Um, so what I recommend with that is, plot your point twice and go through it once. So what I mean by that is making sure your points are correct, because if you're going to the wrong way, you know what I mean, you don't have much time. So make sure you pay attention really to the points that you're plotting, and familiarize yourself with the map, where you're going to be going and the routes you're going to be taking to get the points that you need. So for land navigation for OCS, you need 4, not about, you need 4 points to pass out of 7. So 4 out of 7 points, you already passed. Like that's a go. You find your points, you go back to the footprint. So on the first night of pre-test, I got my points around, I think we started around 310, 320. And I plotted my points, I went through it all. And then we were, it was really dark, first of all. Like, if you're afraid of the dark, like, it's gonna be dark, okay? You're not gonna be able to wear your lenses while you're walking, like your red lens while you're walking. So make sure, just walk through the woods and just be careful and just don't hurt yourself. So on the first night, I was very paranoid about the time. So I was literally like fast walking the whole time. And I found my points. I found like 4 points within 2 hours. And I was like, I was gonna do my 5th point, but it was just way too deep into the woods. and I was paranoid that I was gonna get lost. So I went back and I was like practically running to get back, even though I still have like 2 hours left. I was like walking, and then I make it back to CP, and then the cadre were like, "Oh shit! Like we got our first person." I was like, "Oh my god, I'm the first person! Like these points better be right." So I went in, and then they check them. Thankfully, I was all my points were good, so I was a go for the pretest Nightland Nav, and then I finished up, and then I just did hygiene for the rest of the morning until everybody gets back, and then you eat your food. So we got hot A's once a day, and then 2 MREs for the rest of the days. And then after that, after we eat our breakfast, you have a couple hours to take a nap. So we took a nap, and then around 12 p.m. same day, you form up and you eat your MREs for lunch. You go back to sleep again, and then around 1600 is when we start forming up again. So form up, eat your MREs, and then that's when the pre-test day land navigation starts. So after we eat around I would say like 1800. So like 1700 to 1800 is your preparation to start going to Land Nav. So about 1800 is when we left. And at that point I was feeling a little bit more confident on Land Nav. So I was like, okay, I'll just go through them. I'll find more points this time. So I did much better on the second day. I mean on the second time we did Land Nav for the day. And then I was like, okay, I'll just go through it. And it's much easier to find points during the day. I'm gonna tell you that. And just, trust your instinct and just go through the woods. Like it'll be fine. You'll find some go trails near your pace count or on the pace count that you have. And just follow the go trail. Make sure you're counting your pace though. Whenever you get to the woods, make sure to not go through it like too far. And then after that, we did the pretest for the dayline nav, and then I passed that one too. So at this point, I already passed both pretests, right? I already passed the day and night pretest. So the next day that's gonna come up, which is on Thursday, is I really just needed to find points to improve my score. Like I already passed, and a lot of people did as well. So everybody did very good for this, maybe except a couple people, but at the end of the day, like by the end of this week, almost everybody passed. So I'm actually very thankful about that. And so, like I mentioned on Thursday, that's when we did the actual test. You know, you can try to get more points if you're active and you're trying to improve your OML, or you can just call it if you're good with like 4 points, 5, 6 points. You can just go out there and just find the points you need and then just come back. And then on Friday is when we did the retest. So anybody that needed to take a retest would take it on that Friday. So Friday around 2 a.m. is when they started doing the nightline navigation again. And then I'm pretty sure like, well, I'm not sure actually. I don't know if everybody had passed that, but I think a lot of people did. So I'm very happy about that. And then on around like around 10 a.m. is when we started heading back. So we ate some hot days there. And then around 10 a.m. is when we start heading back. We got transportation back to the footprint. So we got on the buses. Everybody's pretty tired. And then Saturday, and then the rest of Friday, we just really did recovery. And yeah, that's the end of week 4, honestly. It's not much. Like I said, just it's gonna be very busy. It's gonna be very tiring. So just keep a positive attitude. Everybody was like super good, and they were super nice. Even though we were in the field, we were suffering together. Nobody was really mean to anyone, so that was nice. And yeah, that's pretty much week 3 and 4. If you have any question, feel free to comment that in the comment section, and then I'll try to answer your comments or questions after this video. And next week, I think we're doing some upward. I just have to check the schedule on that. Anyways, bye. Good luck.